Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. We are doing practical Vedanta, section 2 of book Vedanta Treatise. Now we started off this practical Vedanta section with the study of human composition. Basic anatomical study of human from the Vedanta perspective, philosophy perspective. You study human anatomy with medical perspective, it is done in a different way. Now here, the philosophy does, Vedanta does in its own way. So first he gave the general idea of what is a human composition. What is he made up of? Who is human? After studying generally about human, he said you have to do self-analysis. Now you look within yourself and study your personality. Turn inward. Don't keep looking outside. Look within and start that inquiry to know what are you, what is happening in you. When you do that analysis, when you do this self-analysis, you come to an understanding that you go through very many states and you are going through, you are experiencing, you are positioning yourself at different times, different personalities you are assuming. That understanding that you will get is what you study in this chapter, the states of consciousness, chapter 11. I'm just running through the connection of chapters. So why suddenly, after self-analysis, suddenly he is jumping to the states of consciousness? What is the connection between the previous chapter and the next chapter? How does it connect? The connection is this. When you do the self-analysis, you come to a realization. You come to an understanding that you go through these 3 states of consciousness that is known to you. Then the teacher, the master comes and says, the scriptures say, no, there is something beyond that state also. Or if you do a deeper analysis of the states of consciousness, you will come to a staggering truth or a staggering wonderment as to which one is the correct personality. Who are you now? What are you then? Which is the truth? Is waker the truth? The dreamer the true personality of yours? Or the deep sleeper the true personality of yours? Because at one point of time you are assuming yourself to be a waker, another point of time you assume yourself to be a dreamer, another point of time you assume yourself to be deep sleeper. What are you? What is your real personality now? All of us will take a stand. Obviously, what? This. What is this? You keep on pointing out this is this. What is this? Right? All the arguments that you give as waker to say this is the same argument you give to the dreamer when you are in the dream and point out this to be the real personality. And that analysis is what he is doing in this chapter. Very, very philosophical analysis. In fact, this concept, this states of consciousness analysis, is the foundation on which the entire philosophical edifice is built. So you need to get a grounding on this concept first. Follow carefully this. And as a rule, I have one thing. Wherever philosophy gets very subtle, I move very fast. It's easier for me. It saves my, energy. So we'll move a little faster here. Not like how we are moving, like going through this snail pace of self-analysis. Here we'll move little, right? But travel with the text carefully. And those who are not having the book, it is better you get the book and read before the class, after the class. Doesn't matter. A lot of people ask this question. Are we supposed to read that portion before or after? I said sometime you read, doesn't matter. People ask that great question comes to people. Am I to read it before or after? I say, study, that's enough. Read that portion very carefully. These initial ones are all factual. There is no analysis here. It's just facts. It's just presenting the facts here. What you supposed to have discovered, right? After your self-analysis, you're supposed to have discovered this. Since we can afford to do that, he is doing it on our behalf. What is that we come to a realization? This first topic, waking, dream, and deep sleep. I'm just reading for the benefit of people. Right. Life is a continuous cycle of 3 states of consciousness: the waking, dream, and deep sleep. Every human being goes through these states. At one time, you are awake. You take the form of the waker. The waker experiences the waking world. The waking world consists of things and beings, emotions and thoughts, appearing in the waking state of consciousness. The waking world exists only for the waker and not for the dreamer or deep sleeper. The entire waking world disappears no sooner than you leave the waking state of consciousness. When you leave the waking state, you enter the dream or deep sleep. In the dream state, you take the form of the dreamer. The dreamer experiences the dream world. The dream world consists of things and beings, emotions and thoughts appearing in the dream state. The dream world is totally different from the waking world. It exists only for the dreamer and not for the waker or deep sleeper. The dream world too disappears no sooner than you leave the dream state of consciousness. In the deep sleep state of consciousness, you take the form of the deep sleeper. The deep sleeper experiences sleep without dream, a blankness, nothingness. That experience exists only for the deep sleeper and not for the waker or dreamer. It also disappears when you leave the deep sleep state of consciousness. These are just, facts. You just have to recognize it. That's about it. You go through these 3 states And what is interesting here is you take three distinct personalities. That's what is important to recognize here. You know, a waker is a distinct and different personality from dreamer and deep sleeper. Dreamer is different, deep sleeper is different, waker is different. All three different personalities. And each personality and their experiences and their state, their world, exists as long as you are in that plane of consciousness. And it folds back the moment you leave. That's the best part here. As long as you are there, it is there. The moment you leave, the whole thing gets folded back. And wherever you have entered, that thing gets unfolded immediately. Which is, now what is interesting is the definition of reality, truth, is that which exists in all three states, all three periods, past, present, future. Only that is to be treated as real. Now, apply the rule to every experience of yours. Is waking state real? It cannot be. Why? It is present now. It wasn't there today afternoon, and it will not be there in tonight. Once you go there, this disappears. And what is very interesting is, as long as you are in the waking state, as a waker, you accept that experience as real, and you yourself will be rejecting the other two. Which means, when you are waker, you reject your own experience, which you claimed as real when you were a dreamer. Isn't it? That's all this chapter is. The entire chapter is only this much. If you can understand this, the chapter is over. You can go to next chapter. Problem is we will not understand. That's the difficulty. Instantly you will transform. Instantly you will change. You don't need anything else. What you claimed as real, every day you dream, you wake up, and you reject that as unreal. And again you go to dream. Again you wake up and you reject that. And when you are in dream, you reject waking. When you are in deep sleep, you reject waking and dream. Like exactly what we are doing now. As waker, you reject dream and deep sleep as nothing. Now, you call it as unreal. It's not there. Say, why? You can't bring anything here, no? That's what it means. You say you're rejecting, what it means is all that money that you have earned in the dream, you cannot bring and settle your debts in the waking world. That's all. All the money that you are having in the waking world, you cannot take your dream and settle your debts of the dream. That's all we are saying. And what is so interesting is, all of us attempt to establish one thing to be real, another one to be unreal. Where I am right now is real. That's all. The other one is not real. Now, what Vedanta says is, in isolation, you can never reject something to be real One state is real, another state is unreal. You got isolated. Either you have to say all three. Why all three is you? See, I can reject your dream. That's not a problem at all. That is why when you wake up from a nightmare, right, and you are sweating and you are, disturbed, I'll dismiss it. Man, there's no such thing as, pay pisasi, there's no such thing, all these things. Why are you getting disturbed about all that? Just go back to sleep. I reject it. Why? It's not my experience. But what is so interesting is your own experience, you will dismiss. Maybe for the first 1 minute, perhaps you may say that after effects of the dream may be there in your body. That's all. But you will never claim that it is there. Upon waking up, after waking up, would you like to analyze dream? That's what Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says. Somebody went and asked him, I have been having this dream, I have been having that dream, and all those things. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, you eat, something happens, you vomit. Will you go and search? Will you analyze that? Yes. Or will you wash it up? The dream analysis is like that. What is dream? What is this? What is that? There's a huge analysis people do. Do you dream black and white or color? There's a research going on. Does people dream black and white or color? Have you ever dreamt a wall clock in your dream? In your dream, you will never see a clock. You can keep chanting, clock, 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 clock. You can do chanting the whole day. You go to sleep. Clock will not come. What is the time in the dream? You will never see that. Now, that is not what we are talking here. Now, the discussion is philosophy. What we are discussing is, you wake up, you come out of the dream, upon reaching the waking state, you don't want to talk about the dream after that. If you believe dream to be real, then everything that you want to achieve in life, you have attained in the dream already. Right? That boy was dreaming about the girl and he is already married to her in the dream. Then why he is waking up? He should have continued dreaming only. The fellow who wanted to win the Olympics gold medal had won that gold medal in the dream. Then why don't you be satisfied with that? Can you tell him, be satisfied? No. I will create something. A fellow was saying, sir, all these emotions are nothing but chemicals in the brain. Love, what is love? Love is nothing but a chemical reaction in the brain. I said, you go home and you see your child, will you say it is chemical in the brain? And the doctor said, no, I don't see it. I said, this is what your issue is. You believe in one thing, but you live on something else. Your life is divorced. Life is divided between what you believe in. Do you believe that? I said, that is the case, then isolate that and inject. No. Get that chemical and inject that chemical. Then the fellow will start feeling love. Then he will start feeling this, feeling that. What is the problem is this? You cannot. Why? You dismiss the dream. You claim that. What is the deep sleep? So what is there in that? And it is so interesting to see the shift that happens, the swiftness with which you shift from one personality to another personality. And when you move from waking to dream, your entire waking is shut off, completely gone. And when you move from dream to deep sleep, waking and dream completely cut off. You see, you just, the swiftness, the speed in which you move from one personality to another personality to another personality to another personality, you need to pause and reflect. That's why he kept the topic self-analysis first. Only those who have done a little self-analysis and little introversion can follow what is being said here. Otherwise, we cannot. Otherwise, it will just go overboard. There's no connection. What is this? The speed, he says. Then what is happening? What is this now? That waker I am today, right now. Now I am claiming myself to be waker. That same waker I will reject in the dream. Otherwise, the dreamer should be telling the dream bank, which is asking for repayment. Say, don't worry, sir. Morning I will wake up. You come and collect from them. I will pay the bills. I will settle the bill. He will never say that. At least for argument's sake, he should say it. He will never say that. Vijay Mallya will not say, all you fellows come in my dream, I will settle your account. One shot, I will settle all that. With double interest. I'll pay the whole thing. Only thing is what? You just have to come and collect it in my dream. Can we? We will reject it. But what is interesting is, right now what I experience, I swear by. What I swear right now, I myself will be rejecting little later. That's the best part of it. That's where it is staggering. Yes. You go through these three states of consciousness. At one time, you are a waker, experiencing waking world. Waking world means what? Waking world of objects, beings, emotions, and thoughts. Waker experiences different objects, different beings, different emotions, different thoughts. Dreamer experiences different. Deep sleeper experiences different. What is experienced by the deep sleeper? Nothing. Deep sleep means dreamless sleep. That's all. You say, what is deep sleep? Deep sleep means only that. That's what he says. It is just a nothingness, a blankness, void, emptiness, meaning there is no dream. When you sleep without any dream, you are in a deep sleep state of consciousness. Who is experiencing that? The deep sleeper is experiencing the deep sleep world. World of deep sleep, which is dreamless sleep. Nothing. So what he is experiencing is nothing, which is rejected by the dreamer, because dreamer says, no, how can you say it is nothing? There are objects, there are beings, there are emotions, there are thoughts, there are ideas. All these things are there in the dream. Same thing the waker says. Hey, dream objects, dream things, Allah. No, that's not real. But what you see here is real, he says. So you go through these three states. He's explaining that first. Then he says, your life revolves around the above three states of consciousness. The personalities of the waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper, and their distinct worlds. Now comes the interesting one. These are conditioned states. This is where the problem starts. These are conditioned states. The pure consciousness conditioned by the causal body becomes the deep sleeper. Likewise, the consciousness conditioned by the subtle and gross bodies become the dreamer and waker respectively. Hence, the waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper are conditioned consciousness. But you know not. You are the unconditioned consciousness, the substratum of the three experiences, and that your real self is the unconditioned consciousness and not these conditioned personalities that you believe yourself to be. This is the problem. Is this we cannot recognize easily. That there is the substratum, there is unconditioned consciousness. Forget about unconditioned consciousness. What we cannot recognize is that we are conditioned. You see, that conditioning we don't have, because we can't understand consciousness. Don't try to understand that pure unconditioned consciousness. You cannot understand it, because any understanding that you wanted to bring in, you have to bring in with a measuring scale, right? Every understanding should have a measuring scale. What is a measuring scale? Our measuring scale itself is conditioned by these three experiences: waking, dream, and deep sleep. You see, what we are attempting is that whatever it is there. It has to be within the purview of these three states of consciousness. So we want consciousness to be experienced by the waker, consciousness to be experienced by the dreamer, consciousness to be experienced by the deep sleeper. But the very definition of consciousness is what? It is the substratum, it is beneath and beyond. How can you make it understand? Actually, the Upanishads give a beautiful example. The effort of human intelligence to understand consciousness is likened to the attempt of the frog in the well to understand ocean. The frog, the well, meets a frog from ocean. It's a fantastic story. This is the story, Vivekananda refers to. This first, speech in Chicago, in the Parliament of Religion. All of us are attempting to know God. It's like that frog attempting to know ocean. And the frog thinks what? Biggest thing in the world has to be the ocean. And the frog from the ocean says, see, I'm from ocean. It says, what is ocean? It's a vast sheet of water. How big it would be? It will be about 10 feet. And it jumps, pop, it jumps. It says, no, it's much bigger. And it says, half the well? No, it says. You mean to say it is well? Full well? It says, no, you cannot. You mean to say 10 wells put together is equal to ocean? There is no. 100 wells? 10,000 well? 1 million well? Put together is ocean. The frog from the ocean says, your attempt itself is wrong. Why? Because any number of wells you add, it can never equate to the vastness of ocean. It is not possible. The frog's intellect, what we carry is only that. Is it so big? Is it so big? You can keep on asking that question again and again and again. Is it this? Is it that? Is it this? Is it that? That's why standard practice in the Upanishads, they say neti, neti, not that, not that. And we get frustrated with the masters. We get irritated with them. Nonsense. So Mahavira found a better way of answering. People were really getting frustrated with the answer, neti, neti, neti. So he changed it a little bit. That neti concept, he changed a little. Not that, not that. He started putting it in a little positive way. Perhaps, maybe, maybe. He started giving answer for everything as perhaps this. Oh, is this world real? Perhaps. You mean to say world is unreal? Perhaps. You mean to say it is neither real nor unreal? Perhaps. You mean to say the world is partially real? Perhaps. You go on saying perhaps, perhaps, perhaps. Has God created the world? Perhaps. And people got frustrated with him. And then they asked, now what do you want us to do? Practice Maunam for 21 days and come back. Nobody comes back to him. Or do fasting for 21 days and come back. You will understand my answer. You know, Buddha found a better way. He said, every village before Buddha enters, there will be an advertisement. Newspaper ad will be flashed everywhere. Or everywhere, they will put in all this, so social media network, everybody's WhatsApp, Facebook page, everything would be noted. What? You cannot ask these questions. He will not answer. So don't ask these questions. List of questions are there. So you ask the question, Buddha will go silent. Upanishadic masters were giving neti. Buddha went into silence. Mahavira went into maybe philosophy. Mahavira's philosophy is known as, maybe philosophy. Why? Because the measuring scale that we carry is a scale of that well to understand ocean. What answer you can get from that? You see, all the attempt is this question can go on. You can keep on asking very many questions, but their answer will not change. Their answer is going to be what? With the knowledge of the well, if you are attempting to understand ocean, keeping the reference point of the knowledge of the well to understand ocean, impossible. You can't keep the knowledge of well as the benchmark to understand. What are we doing, sir? We wanted to keep the waking experience as the benchmark to understand consciousness. We wanted to keep the dreamer's intelligence, dreamer's experiences as a benchmark to understand the consciousness. Not possible. Nor the deep sleeper can keep his reference, which is nothing, and comes there also. What is it, sir? Nothing. You cannot. So what is going on, sir? The consciousness, which is the substratum, which is existing in the waking state, it is existing in the dream state, it is existing in the deep sleep state, but completely missed. The wakers, objects, beings, emotions, thoughts do not exist in the dream. Dreamers, objects, beings, emotions, thoughts do not exist in waker or deep sleeper. The nothingness of the deep sleeper does not exist in the waking and dream. But the pure consciousness, that unconditioned consciousness that exists in all three, that we miss completely. That's what he says. And it's fascinating to see that solid waking experience suddenly disappears. You should get scared actually to sleep, you know. It's amazing to see it. If you read this portion, it's difficult to understand, you know. Either you will take it as, yeah, waker experiences the waking world, dream world, digital experience, dream sleeper. That is just, you know, academical understanding, remember. That's not real. Now, real understanding comes only when you recognize what is happening. What is happening to you is the solid, that solid waking world suddenly disappears because of that shift. When you move out, the whole thing is disappeared. If you can grasp that, you got the bull by the horns. If you can grasp that understanding, if you can understand this, the moment I move out, the whole thing disappears. The same happens to the dream, the same happens to the deep sleep. This sudden, the consciousness pervades the waking, dream, and deep sleep. And these changes, you moving from waking to dream to deep sleep, from deep sleep to waking to dream, all this happens automatic. All this is happening, and the consciousness is remaining as a witness. All the happening. Waker comes, dreamer comes, deep sleeper comes. Waker comes, dreamer comes, deep sleeper comes. And the consciousness is standing there and observing the whole thing. Which means, what he's saying is, waker, you are a combination of what? The pure consciousness plus waker experiences the waking world. Pure consciousness plus dreamer experiences the dream world. Pure consciousness plus deep sleeper experiences the deep sleep world. Okay. Now, what is the conditioning that he's talking about is, you are conditioned. You are going through this waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, all conditioned. Conditioned by what? Conditioned by you focus your attention on the consciousness, waker ticked off. Okay. You focus your attention on the consciousness, the dreamer is ticked off. You focus your attention on the waker, consciousness is ticked off. Isn't it? You see that other one will disappear. You see this, other one will disappear. Only one will be visible to you. Right now, what is visible to all of us? Consciousness is not visible. It'll be little dry. It'll be little boring. But if you get a hang of it, it is invigorating. It's fascinating. It is. If you're not able to, tune into it, it's very difficult. It will not make any sense. You look boring. Some consciousness, some words, blah, 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 it goes on talking. Right? Little tight it will appear. See, so pay little attention. You will feel sleepy only. Right? Doesn't matter. It's okay to sleep. You feel like sleeping, sleep. Okay. But you have to keep your video on. You can sleep, but keep video on. Otherwise, she will be calling me from there. I told everyone to keep the video on. You are telling them to sleep. And they all switched off the video. You identify with consciousness, only then consciousness will exist. You are identified with the waker, therefore the waker is existing. How do you know that waker is existing? Because you identify with it. If you don't identify, waker is not existing. Now today, consciousness is not existing. Why? Because the substratum consciousness we miss completely. Therefore, it's not existing. You don't need a master to come and tell you that you are going through waking, dream, deep sleep. You don't require that. A basic introverted approach, everybody knows. You may not know the words, but everyone says, I had a dream yesterday, isn't it? Oh, had a good sleep, man. Very good sleep I had yesterday. We all say that. So you don't need a Mahatma to come and tell you this. Where the scriptures, these gurus are required to us is to take our attention on something which we go on missing constantly. So it says, there is a waker supported by the consciousness. You pay attention to the waker, you miss consciousness. You pay attention to the consciousness, waker ticked off. Waker ticked off means what? Waker ticked off means you can identify with this or that. So once you identify with waker, consciousness ticked off. Correct. Once you identify with consciousness, waker will get ticked off. Now the question is, who is ticked off? You only said, no, waker ticked off. You know, those who are listening will say, who is that waker? Now, every one of you have to say your name. Okay. Ishwaran is the waker. Now you have to change. Every one of you have to, we have to give the answer as what? Don't say, I am ticked off. That is no. Ishwaran is ticked off. Now, Ishwaran ticking off means what? When Ishwaran goes, what all will go along with him? All his attachments, desires, his involvements, his things, everything goes off. His worries, his anxiety, his attachment, his desire, his ego, everything is gone along with ticking off of Ishwaran. So, waker ticked off means what? Ishwaran ticked off. Ishwaran gone. All that is gone. Which means it is the consciousness which is supporting the waker who is carrying his attachments, desires, and all those things. So who is supporting all this? Is consciousness responsible for that? Vedanta says, no. Consciousness is not responsible for that. Consciousness supported Ishwaran. Ishwaran is carrying attachments, desires, worries, and anxieties. So, in a way, isn't it? This is responsible for that. They say, no, no, no. There's no connection between this and that. Then how do you understand that? Upanishad gives a beautiful example. It says, the salt that is there in the ocean, that water contains the salt, isn't it? When ocean water dries up, what will happen? Salt also gone. You take out all the water of ocean, pump out all the water, salt also pumped out. But the ocean bed which you are supporting the water has got nothing to do with the salt, isn't it? The saltiness is not supported by the earth that is supporting the water. Ocean bed, we may say that. Similarly, who is responsible for this? Only Ishwaran is responsible for carrying the attachments and all those things. So, one shot, what Vedanta does is, it says, don't work on a individual attachment, desire, worries, anxieties, how to remove this worry, how to remove that problem, this problem, nothing. One shot, what they do, take out Ishwaran, pump out that water. That's all. Saltiness is gone. So saltiness is not because of the support of the bed, but without the bed supporting, neither water possible nor salt possible. Saltiness possible in that water. That's all we say. Now, along with that, along with the original, the shadow will disappear. Isn't it? Original goes, shadow goes. The shadow of the waker is all this is things. What is the waker's world? Waker's world is nothing but his attachment, his worries, his anxieties, his desires. That's all. There is nothing beyond that. There is no such thing. That is the conditioning that is referred here. At any point of time, all that his thoughts, emotions, actions, all this is what this, the conditioning. All that joy, all that sorrow will disappear. The mind will never allow that to happen. That is the problem of the mind. It will not allow. The mind will go on, repeating itself. It will go on stating this is different, that is different, this is that. So now you say that waker is conditioned by his actions, his emotions, his thoughts, and all those things. Okay. But how are we to understand the consciousness is not conditioned? Can you understand consciousness is unconditioned? That's what he says. That's what the scriptures say. How am I to understand consciousness is unconditioned, sir? To which they say, you cannot understand it. You cannot understand that consciousness is pure unconditioned. Why you cannot understand? Because the benchmark with which you are attempting to understand that the consciousness is unconditioned is what? The will. The reference point for you is what? The will. Therefore, the scriptures say what? It says you cannot understand it. But our issue is what? Our problem is, I just can't accept that I cannot understand. I don't know. I cannot. It is not possible that human arrogance will never allow that to say, I don't know. I cannot. It is not possible. We cannot say that. We have to somehow attempt. Somehow we have to say, increase the number. That's all. All that we have to do is increase the number of zeros. That's about it. That's all we have been attempting, isn't it? First we said, atom. First they said molecule. After molecule, they said atom. After atom, they said quanta. And then quanta, that can be divided into this. This can be divided. This can be divided. This can be divided. As we go on subtilizing the equipment, we are dividing. This is all we do. That's just mind. What is interesting about it, sir? This is the problem. It wants to divide everything. And it will go on dividing things and say, what is the problem in division? There's no problem in the division. The problem comes only after that. Once you have divided, immediately the mind will take hold of one aspect and reject the other aspect. First you will divide. And then you will do what? You take one, reject other. You accept one and reject the other. This is all we have been doing. Sir, is there a thing called January, February, March, April in time? Is there a thing called 2021 in time? It's our invention, isn't it? Time is the invention of human mind. We invented time. There's no such thing called time existing, actually. We created it. Having created the time, we divided this time into two aspects. Good time, bad time. Isn't it? It's a very bad time. 2020 is a very bad time. But 2021 is a promising. This is the best period to live. Those who have lived, this period. This is the best time to have lived, they say. Because hardly any war, no this, no that, not a big problem on all that we have had. That's my good time. Now what is this? Shani has caught hold of you. Very bad time. Very good time. This is richness. This is poverty. What is rich? What is poverty? There was a time, once we all believed, the one who comes with the trousers and shirt to be rich. If you come with dhoti, you are a poor fellow. You must be a gati if you are coming with the lungi. Now the fellow is coming with lungi for a conference advertisement. The fellow comes, lands on on a private chopper. He comes, and he comes with the lungi, and calling that as fashion now. Once we said lungi is, and somebody gave the house, when I was wearing lungi, my grandma started scolding. Puriki mari lungi cutting. Only those people wear. I said, who told you? From where you got that idea that only they have, How can you be like this? Now this person is coming. Now what is good time? What is bad time? What is right? What is wrong? How did you? Now you divide the whole thing. He's very healthy. He's very rich. I don't want to give examples. Yeah, very rich fellow, a very rich man. 1 year later, the fellow bankrupt. Hmm. Now he's rich. What is this? The mind has the tendency to turn into all these things. The division is the problem, he says. Time. That's why when people ask Christ, describe your kingdom of heaven. What is your concept of heaven? What is your heaven, man? Tell me. He simply replied, in my kingdom, there will not be time. There's no time, he said, in my kingdom. What is no time? Those fellows thought there will not be wall clocks. Will not be time means all clocks are all gone. No division. We have divided the things as what? Waking, dream, deep sleep. Divided. This is correct. This is real. That is unreal. And then you go there, you say what? That is real. This is unreal. That's why we say every human is a politician. There's no such thing called, politicians are there amongst humans. No. Every human is a politician. Like somebody was telling, what is the stand of Communist Party on any issue? Depends on where they sit. If he is sitting in the opposition, one stand. Is Russia a communist country? Where? They are more capitalist than capitalist country. Okay. But it depends on where they sit. Political. Why? Divide. And division, we swear by where I am right. That's all. All that Vedanta is asking you to do is don't immediately jump to conclusion saying this is all unreal. Don't jump into it, please. You see, that's why we say, remember, in life, the questions that you can have were real, authentic, but the answers that you give, all, your memory, unreal. Questions are real, answers are all unreal. And all of us are ready with answers much before we can even get any question in life. Any sincere question, before it can come about in life, we are bombarded with answers from all sides. Information. We have too much of information. As a result, you start believing you have the answer. That's your answer, you think. You say, yeah, correct. World is not real. Which world? Yeah, world is not real. Correct. And they will give explanation. There is illusion, extrinsic illusion, intrinsic illusion. This is Maya, that is Maya. Maya is different from Mithya. Mithya is different from Nitya. Nitya is that, this one, that one. All fantastic lecture for 1 hour. And finally say that lecture is very real. All this information is what? Memory. It just comes out of your memory. Answers come out of your memory. Questions can never be memorized. Questions are authentic. That is why Vedanta says, question everything. Question. The problem is, we can't question. We have forgotten the art of questioning. We have lost that. Even before a question can come about, your own mind will force 100 answers to it and suppress the question. You see, unless you ask. That is why all the scriptures that we have is not a lecture. It is all question answers. All Upanishads, question answer. Now this Smriti, it is a question answer. Vishnu Sahasranama, quick question answer. Any text you take, Puranas, quick question answer. All 18 Puranas were quick question answers only. You may think it is a story. It's not a story, please. It is question answer. Yoga Vasishta, quick question answers. Ramayana, quick question answer. Mahabharata, quick question answer. It's not a story, please. It is question answers only. Why? This system encourages questions. Why they encourage question? Because questions are authentic. Your own. Now today we have started imitating even questions now. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? You go on. You know, so some of them ask me to ask the quick questions. Sir, you yourself raise a question, you yourself answer, no? That's easy for us. One fellow was telling me in the class, some time back. I said, what is this? I'm also saying something, you're also listening. You don't question. He said, yes, sir. You yourself ask question, yourself give answer. So I am the questioner, I am the answerer. I said, for this, why should I come here? I said, I can do it in my house, no. I don't have to travel 1.5 hours coming and 1.5 hours going. All the way I travel from here to Whitefield. 1.5 hours. I travel and go. And I come back 1.5 hours. And then the fellow says, you yourself ask question, you yourself answer, no? We encourage questions. Why? Questioning, when you do, you are challenging the status quo. You become a rebel. Any question being asked is a rebel. Doesn't mean all rebels are, inquirers, please. This inquirers are all rebels. If you see carefully, every master is a rebel. Shankara was a rebel in his period. Christ, rebel in his period. That is why that master was not accepted by that community, by that society. Because he challenges the status quo of what they are doing, what they were believing in. You see, that we cannot accept. You see, that is why a man asks a question, challenging this status quo, this practice of meditation will not be accepted. No acceptance. 65 years, no acceptance. Why? It will not be accepted. That's the law of life. Socrates is accepted by all of us as a great thinker, not by his society. What is interesting is Aristotle was accepted. Socrates was rejected. Aristotle is accepted. Why? Aristotle is a fantastic fellow. Very smart he is. Like Galileo. Galileo learned the lesson because what they did to Copernicus, he knows. So when he said, the earth is not the center, it's not the sun that is rotating the earth, is the earth that is moving around the sun. The Pope said, no, you have to change it. He said, oh, no, I'll change it. I'll change that and publish my book. But will you allow me to write a footnote, is it? Just allow me to write a footnote. And the Pope made a mistake of allowing that. He said, yes, you can write a footnote only, no, right? One sentence. The sun, moon, earth doesn't listen to either Pope or Galileo. That's all. They don't listen to me or listen to you, man. I can say anything. You can also say anything. He will not be accepted. He has understood that is why disciples are all more popular. How popular Vivekananda versus Ramakrishna Paramahamsa? Ramakrishna was not accepted by many. If at all we know of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa today, it is because of Vivekananda. Ramakrishna was not. Ramana was recognized today, but not when he was there. Why is that? Because every master questions. Questioning means what? Questioning the status quo. That they're rebels. Now, rebel is not in the sense of, like what we understand as rebel, throwing stones. Our understanding of rebel is, a mob come together, throwing stones at each other. That's not what it is. They challenge, they question. Your ability to question this says, at one point of time, I myself accept that I am dreamer. Another point of time, I accept myself as waker, rejecting the dreamer personality, and I've been doing that every day. For the last 47 years, I've been doing that every day. What? Wake up, reject the dreamer, accept the waker. Next day, go into the dream, reject the waker, accept the dreamer. Now imagine one fellow goes on doing this for 47 years. Will you trust it? Whatever he says, will you trust that fellow? At different point of time, he is talking different things. Isn't it that all of us are trusting ourselves so much, believing in the absolution about it? That ability to question, not to take it for granted. That is the chapter here. Very, very powerful chapter, remember. If you read this chapter, it's like, pulling the carpet under your feet. It's a dangerous chapter. Ideally speaking, I would recommend you to skip this and move to the next chapter. It will be interesting. The next chapter is going to be very interesting. Something that and all will be there. Entertainment will be there. But this chapter is, hitting you under the belt. It's like too painful. So you're going to bear with me. I have no option. Because it's there. If it is not there, I would prefer. But since it is there, we have to do justice to the topic, to the chapter. Read this carefully. It divides. The mind will divide things and accept one and reject the other. It divides you into three personalities. At any point of time, it will accept one and reject the other. And you swear by that. That's the best part of it. You will swear. And you need tremendous courage and humility to say, I don't understand. I cannot understand this. What is going on? What am I doing? What am I talking? What am I believing in? Question that. There, something will happen. What will happen? I don't know. Something will happen. Definitely something different will happen. But not, routine will not be going on. See more in the next class. Thank you.